There are moments in life when everything seems to be falling apart. Doors close, prayers go unanswered, and darkness overshadows your soul. You look around and nothing makes sense. You ask God, where are you? You cry out in desperation, waiting for a sign, a breakthrough, a miracle. And just when you feel like giving up, something shifts. The impossible becomes possible. The storm that threatened to destroy you, sudden light clears and light breaks through. What have I told you? That God has already set things in motion for you, that he has a plan beyond your imagination, that your situation is about to change. And nothing can stop it. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share could be the confirmation you've been waiting for. God operates in realms beyond human understanding. He sees the end from the beginning, and his plans are not limited by time or circumstances. When he speaks, creation obeys. He moves, barriers fall. When he commands, even the impossible bows before him. There are divine moments in life when God decides to shift everything in your favor, and when that moment comes, nothing in this world can stop what he has ordained. The enemy wants you to believe that this is the end, that your struggle will never ever end, that your prayers have fallen on deaf ears. But listen carefully. What you see is not the full picture. What you feel is not the final reality. There is a spiritual battle waging over your destiny, and God is at work behind the scenes. The delay is not denial, the sounds not abandonment. He is setting the stage for something greater than you can think about. The Israelites standing before the sea behind them. Pharaoh's army was closing in, and before them an impassable body of water. To the human eye, it was over. There was no escape, but God had already prepared a way. Before they even realized that, he did not panic. He did not rethink his plan. He had already positioned Moses at that exact moment with that exact staff to stretch his hands and part the sea. The miracle was never in question. It was simply waiting for divine timing. Your life is no different. The struggles you face may seem insurmountable, but God has already written the final chapter. The breakthrough is already scheduled. The miracle is already on its way. But here's the challenge. Can you trust him in the waiting? Can you keep believing even when the evidence tells you otherwise? Faith is not about seeing the way. It's about trusting the one who makes the way. Abraham was promised a son, but years passed and nothing happened. Sarah's womb remained barren and doubt tried to creep in. But did the delay cancel God's promise? No. When the time was right, Isaac was born, not according to human effort, but according to divine timing. If Abraham had given up, he would have walked away from the fulfillment of what God had spoken. But he held on. And in the appointed time, the promise manifested right now. God is calling you to hold on the enemy. Whispers lies, but God's voice speaks truth. Your situation is not beyond his reach. Your need is not beyond his provision. Your pain is not beyond his healing. Every time you thought you were forgotten, every time you felt abandoned, every time you wondered if he still hears you, he was working, preparing, aligning, orchestrating the right people, the right connections, the right circumstances. They are all being arranged for the exact moment that God has already determined. In the book of Daniel, there was a moment when Daniel prayed, but the answer did not come immediately. Days passed, weeks passed. It seemed as if heaven was silent. But what Daniel did not know was that from the moment he prayed, his request was heard. The delay was not in God's response. It was in the spiritual realm where opposition tried to block what was already his. The angel told Daniel, from the first day you set your heart to understand, your words were heard. And I have come because of your words. You understand what that means. Your prayers are not ignored. Your cries are not. If you can just hold on a little longer, your miracle is already in motion. The power of God is not limited by time. It is not restricted by circumstances. It is not hindered by human understanding. The same Jesus who healed her is the same Jesus who is reaching out to you right now. There is a divine alignment happening even as you listen. The things that seem stuck are about to move. The prayers that seemed unanswered are about to manifest. The doors that refuse to open are about to be unlocked. But let me warn you, when God moves, it does not always look like what you expect. The path he chooses, often different from the one you imagine. The process he takes you through may not make sense. Look at Joseph. He had a dream of greatness, a vision of divine promotion. But the path to that promise was filled with betrayal, slavery, false accusations, and imprisonment. If Joseph had judged God's faithfulness by his circumstances, he would have lost hope. But what Joseph did not see was that every trial, every setback, every delay was actually a step closer to the fulfillment of his destiny. What the enemy meant for harm, God was using for his good. And when the moment came when divine timing aligned with divine purpose, Joseph was lifted from the prison to the palace in an instant. What took years to break him was reversed in a single moment. That is the power of God when he moves. It does not take decades when he speaks. Situations shift instantly. One moment in the presence of God can undo years of struggle, years of pain, years of waiting. Your moment is coming. The enemy wants you to believe that the delay means denial. I declare to you today in the name of Jesus that the delay is simply preparation. God has not forgotten you. He has not abandoned you. He has not changed his mind about you. Every tear you have cried, every prayer you have whispered, every sacrifice you have made. He has seen it all, and he is about to respond in a way that will leave no doubt that he alone is God. But you must get ready. When the Israelites were about to enter the promised land, God gave them a command. Consecrate yourselves for tomorrow. The Lord will do amazing things among you. In other words, prepare yourself, position yourself, because what is coming is greater than anything you have imagined. God is not just going to do what you asked. He is going to exceed it. He is going to bless you in ways that will shock those who doubted you. He is going to open doors that no man can shut. He is going to restore what was stolen, rebuild what was broken, and redeem what was lost. But he is looking for faith. He is looking for someone who will say, God, I don't understand it, but I trust you. I don't see the way, but I believe you are making one. How but I know you will. That kind of faith moves mountains. That kind of faith unlocks miracles. That kind of faith turns the impossible into a testimony. So I ask you today, can you hold on a little longer? Can you trust him even when nothing makes sense? Can you believe that your miracle is already on its way? Because I assure you, in the realm of the Spirit, things have already shifted. The battle has already been won. The chains have already been broken. And in just a little while, you will see with your own eyes what God has been preparing all along. Must understand that the greatest miracles do not always come in the form of sudden dramatic changes. Sometimes the miracle is the shift in your heart, the renewal of your strength, the deepening of your faith before God brings you into your breakthrough. He prepares you for it. He strengthens you. That when the blessing comes, you can carry it. He refines you so that when the door opens, you are ready to walk through it. Think about David. He was anointed as king, yet he spent years tending sheep. He defeated Goliath, yet he spent years running from Saul. He had the promise, but the process seemed to contradict it. But do you know what was happening? God was building him in the secret place. God was strengthening his character, refining his heart, preparing him for the throne. Because a promise given too soon can become a burden rather than a blessing. Maybe that is what God is doing with you. Maybe the delay is not a denial, but a season of preparation. Maybe the hardship is not a punishment, but a refining fire. Maybe the closed door is not rejection, but divine redirection, because when God moves, he does it in a way that leaves no room for doubt. He does it in a way that silences the enemy and magnifies his glory. And that is why you must not give up. Now you are closer than you think. The enemy wants you to quit right before the breakthrough. He wants you to settle right before the promise is fulfilled. He wants you to lower your faith, to accept defeat, to believe that nothing will change, but the devil is a liar. You serve the God who split the sea, who fed the 5,000, who raised the dead, who spoke the universe into existence. Do not see the way it is when you choose to praise in the middle of the storm. It is when you refuse to bow to fear, when you refuse to let circumstance dictate your belief. Paul and Silas were thrown into prison. They had every reason to complain. They had every reason to question God. Praised him in the midnight hour, in the darkest moment. They lifted their voices in worship. And you know what happened. The prison shook, the chains fell off, the doors swung open. Because when you praise in the middle of your struggle, heaven responds. When you lift your voice in faith, chains break. I want you to understand that what you do in your waiting season determines what you will receive in your breakthrough season. If you complain, you prolong the process. If you doubt, you limit the flow of God's power. But if you remain steadfast, if you keep declaring his promises, if you continue to walk in obedience, nothing can stop what God has planned for you. Some of you have been waiting for years. Some of you have faced rejection after rejection, disappointment after disappointment. But God is saying to you today, I have not forgotten you. I have not abandoned you. I have been working behind the scenes, orchestrating things in your favor. Look at Hannah. She was barren for years while others around her rejoiced in their blessings. She wept. She prayed, she waited, and when the time was right, she gave birth to Samuel, one of the greatest prophets in history. Had God answered her prayer sooner, she may not have been ready. But the moment of delay was actually a moment of divine timing. That is what is happening with you. What feels like a setback is actually a setup. What seems like a closed door is actually a divine redirection. What appears to be unanswered prayers are actually prayers being answered in a better way than you imagine. So do not grow weary. Do not let frustration take over. Keep pressing, keep believing, keep standing in faith, because when God moves, he does it suddenly. Joseph woke up one morning in a prison cell thinking it was just another day. By the end of that same day, he was in the palace. One moment he was bound, the next he was elevated. That is the kind of God you serve, the God of sudden breakthroughs, the God of unexpected turnarounds, the God who makes a way where there is no way, the God who turns mourning into dancing, sorrow into joy, ashes into beauty. You do not have to understand how, you do not have to figure it out. All you need to do is trust. All you need to do is believe, because as surely as the sun rises, as surely as the seasons change, as surely as his word stands forever, your miracle is coming. The breakthrough is already in motion. The answer is already on its way. And when it happens, you will look back and see that every tear, every trial, every delay was it, because God never fails. He never forgets. He never abandons his own, and he will never abandon you. You must recognize that every battle you have faced, every storm you have endured, and every tear you have cried has not been wasted. Heaven has recorded every moment of your struggle, and the Lord has been watching over you. The enemy wanted you to believe that God was silent, that he had forgotten you, that your prayers had gone unheard. But I declare to you today, God has been working in the unseen. He has been setting things in motion. He has been aligning people, opportunities, and divine appointments that will bring his perfect plan to pass in your life. The enemy does not attack what do not valuable. The reason you have faced so much resistance is because of the calling on your life. The reason the enemy has tried to discourage you, delay you, and distract you is because he knows that when you into what God has for you, nothing will be able to stop you. The devil sees what you cannot see, yet your future, your destiny, your purpose. That is why he has fought you so hard. That is why the pressure has been so intense. But what the enemy meant for evil, God is turning around for your good. You may not see the full picture yet, but God does. He knows the exact moment when things will shift. He knows the precise timing when your prayers will manifest. You have been waiting, and waiting can be hard. Waiting can feel like an eternity, but God is never late. His timing is not our timing, but it is always perfect. If he brought it to you too soon, it would not be a blessing. It would be a burden. If he opened the door before you were ready, you might not be able to sustain what he is giving you. That is why the waiting season is necessary. It is a season of preparation, of pruning, of molding. It is a season where God is developing the strength, the character, and the faith you will need for the blessing he is about to release in your life. Think about Moses. He spent 40 years in the wilderness before stepping into his calling. Joseph endured 13 years of betrayal and hardship before stepping into his purpose. David was anointed king, but spent years running for his life before he sat on the throne. Every great person in the Bible had a season of waiting. And if God made them wait, do not be discouraged. If he is making you wait too, your waiting season is not wasted. It is a setup for the miracle that is about to unfold. And when that miracle happens, it will be bigger than what you expected. It will exceed what you prayed for. It will happen in such a way that you will know without a doubt that it was God, because when God moves, he does it in a way that leaves no room for human explanation. He does it in that glorifies him. God is the one who opens doors that no man can shut. He is the one who makes a way where there is no way. He is the one who parts the Red Sea. When your enemies are closing in, he is the one who brings water out of a rock in the middle of a dry place. He is the one who feeds multitudes with 5 loaves and 2 fish. He is the one who raises the dead, heals the sick, and restores the broken. Do not limit what God can do in your life. Do not let past disappointments cause you to lower your expectations. Just because it has not happened yet does not mean it will not happen. Same God who did it for Abraham, for Joseph, for David, for Paul and Silas. He is the same God today. And if he did it before, he will do it again. Some of you have been praying for years. Some of you have cried yourself to sleep, wondering when things will change. But I need you to hear me. God has not forgotten you. He has heard your prayers. He has seen your faithfulness. And he is about to move in a way that will leave you in awe. But here's what you must do. You must remain in faith. You must keep speaking his promises. You must keep declaring his word over your situation. The enemy wants to silence your faith. He wants to fill you with doubt. He wants you to look at your circumstances instead of looking at your God. But you must stand firm. You must keep believing, because the moment you are closest to your breakthrough is the moment the enemy will try the hardest to make you quit. You are on the verge of something supernatural. You are standing at the edge of a divine shift. The very thing that is blocking you is about to be removed. The very wall that has stood in your way is about to crumble. The very door that has been shut is about to swing open. The very situation that seemed impossible is about to turn in your favor. Do you know what happens when God moves? Every limitation is lifted. Stronghold is broken. Every chain is destroyed. When God steps in, sickness has to flee. When God steps in, depression has to go. When God steps in, lack is replaced with abundance. Fear is replaced with faith. Weakness is replaced with strength. Your story is not over what God started in your life. Well, complete the enemy thought he had won. He thought the delays, the obstacles, the pain would cause you to give up. But he was wrong, because what the enemy did not realize is that through it all, you were being strengthened through it. All your faith was growing through it all. You were getting ready for the very thing God promised you, and now the time is near. The moment is approaching. Heaven is about to release what has been stored up for you. The answer is on its way. The provision is being released. The miracle is already in motion. You do not have to see it to believe it. You do not have to feel it to know it is happening. All you need to do is trust. All you need to do is keep walking in faith, because what God has spoken over your life cannot be stopped. What God has ordained for you cannot be stolen. What God has purposed for you will come to pass. So stand firm, lift your head square, shoulders, because what is coming is greater than what is behind you. What God is about to do will leave you speechless. It will be undeniable. It will be miraculous. And when it happens, you will know it was God all along. You will look back on this season of struggle and see that every tear was watering the seeds of your breakthrough. You will realize that every delay was divine protection. Every closed door was God's redirection. And every disappointment was preparing you for an appointment with destiny. What seemed like a setback was actually a setup. What felt like rejection was really God's way of steering you into something better. The Israelites stood before the Red Sea with Pharaoh's army pressing in behind them. It looked like the end. It looked like there was no way forward. But God had already planned their deliverance before they even knew they needed it. He told Moses to stretch out his staff, and in a moment the waters parted. The sea became a pathway. And what seemed impossible became possible. And when the enemies tried to follow, God closed the waters, drowning the very thing that had been chasing them. Do you understand what that means for you? The very thing that has been chasing you, the fear, the struggle, the hardship is about to be swallowed up. The storm that has been raging against you is about to be silenced. The chains that have held you back are about to be broken. The enemy thought he had you trapped, but God has already made a way. You may not see it yet. But just like the Red Sea, your miracle is already in motion. God is about to part some things in your life. He is about to move obstacles that have seemed immovable. He is about to open doors that no man can shut. And when he does it, it will not be by human effort. It will not be because of your connections or your qualifications. It will be because of his power, his favor, and his divine purpose over your life. You have been faithful in the waiting. You have stood when it was easier to fall. You have held on when everything in you wanted to let go. You have held on when everything in you wanted to let go. You have held on when everything in you wanted to let go. You have held on when everything in you wanted to let go. You have held on when everything in you wanted to let go. You have held on when everything in you wanted to let go. You have held on when everything in you wanted to let go. You have held on when everything in you wanted to let go. You have held on when everything in you wanted to let go. You have held on when everything in you wanted to let go. You have held on when everything in you wanted to let go. You have held on when everything in you wanted to let go. You have held on when everything in you wanted to let go. You have held on when everything in you wanted to let go. You have held on when everything in you wanted to let go. You have held on when everything in you wanted to let go. You have held on when everything in you wanted to let go. You have held on when everything in you wanted to let go. You have held on when everything in you wanted to let go. You have held on when everything in you wanted to let go. You have held on when everything in you wanted to let And now the God who sees your endurance, who hears your prayers, knows your pain. He is stepping in the God who created the heavens and the earth, the one who spoke the universe into existence, the one who holds time in his hands. He is moving on your behalf. Some of you have been in a dry season where nothing seems to be working, but I hear the Spirit saying, the drought is over, the rain is coming, the abundance is coming, the breakthrough is coming, the thing you have been waiting for, the thing you have been believing for. It is closer than you think. Do not lose heart now. Do not give up now. This is the moment where your faith must rise. This is the moment where you must declare what you know, not just what you see, because faith is not about seeing, it is about believing. Abraham did not see the promise right away, but he believed. Joseph did not see the dream fulfilled for years. But he believed. The woman with the issue of blood did not see healing immediately, but she believed. She pressed through the crowd. She reached out, touched the hem of his garment, and in that instant she was healed. Are you willing to press through? Are you willing to hold on? Hold on a little longer. Are you willing to trust that God is faithful even when the circumstances seem unchanged? Because here is what I know: when the breakthrough comes, it comes suddenly. When the shift happens, it happens quickly. One day, Joseph was in prison, and the next he was in the palace. One moment, Peter was in a storm, and the next he was walking on water. One second, Paul and Silas were in chains, and the next, the prison doors flung open. God does not need years to change your situation. He does not need months. He does not even need days. He can do it in an instant, in a blink of an eye. Everything can shift in a single moment. Everything can allot. You may be one prayer away. You may be one step of faith away. You may be one act of obedience away from stepping into the miracle God has for you. Do not stop now. Do not turn back. You have come too far to quit. And when the miracle happens, when the door opens, when the favor comes, you will know it was not by your might, not by your power, but by His Spirit. You will know that if it had not been for the Lord on your side, you would not have made it. And you will lift your hands in worship, and your testimony will be this: God did it. Everything you have been through, the struggles, the setbacks, the waiting has been leading to this moment. The pain was not wasted. The delays were not pointless. God has been working behind the scenes, orchestrating every detail, aligning every step, positioning you for the miracle that is about to unfold. When the Israelites stood before the Red Sea, they saw no way forward, but God had already prepared their deliverance. When Joseph sat in a prison cell, he had no idea he was just one step away from the palace. When Paul and Silas were chained in prison, they had no clue that their praise was about to shake the foundations of their captivity. And now your moment is coming. Do not let fear make you doubt what faith has been building. Do not give up before you see the breakthrough. The same God who parted the sea, who raised the dead, who opened blind eyes, He is the same God working in your life today. Hold on, stand firm, keep believing, because when the miracle happens, you will look back and say it was all worth it. God was making a way all along.